Jeżeli ten koleś mówi, że nie wie, czy był kiedykolwiek równie podekscytowany, to albo mu za to zapłacili, albo gra w gry od wczoraj.
The expected features and mechanics in this unique fantasy title. First, I'll give you a brief overview, and then we'll do a deep dive into everything we've learned about the game so far. So Nightingale will be this sort of open world, single player or co-op, PvE fantasy gas lamp survival game, and it's being developed by Inflection Games, a studio made up of BioWare veterans with previous experience making games like Mass Effect and Dragon Age Origins. And so you're this realm walker who can traverse the interplanetary network of magical portals. You'll have to navigate your way through forests and swamps and deserts to unlock the portals that will take you even deeper into the lands of the Fae, in this alternate history timeline taking place in the Victorian era around the year 1889. I can't really think of a single other game that's taking place in this time frame except for Victoria 3, so this should be a really refreshing setting for a first-person game. To survive, you'll need to prepare meals, construct shelter, and craft tools to enable the gathering of plants, ores, and trees.
No dobrze, ale jeszcze póki co nie powiedział, co jest takiego niesamowitego.
As well as other, more uncommon resources that can be found deep within the realms. And by finding new blueprints and new materials, you can then construct pieces of increasingly higher tech and higher quality gear and weapons to increase your abilities. It's even possible to enchant your equipment by employing the arcane techniques of the Fae. You'll be able to build an impressive estate to call home and choose from a wide range of architectural motifs to decorate it to your liking. You're even encouraged to organize into communities to increase your chances of surviving, either with other players or by recruiting non-player characters or NPCs who can assist you in expanding your homestead, automating production, and gathering resources. You're free to roam the vast realms, each of which features eye-popping visuals that will put you in the middle of what the developers are calling a, quote, gas lamp fantasy adventure. You'll discover the forgotten relics of previous Realmwalker expeditions, investigate the mysterious architecture of the Fae, and explore their derelict ruins. Each portal promises splendor and peril waiting for you on the other side. You can explore the realmscape on your own, or you and your friends can work together to complete objectives by pooling your respective strengths, abilities, and resources. You'll be able to craft a wide variety of
Portale to po prostu jest content PvE, tak? Jak dobrze zrozumiałem. Chodzi o coś na zasadzie dungów, tak przyjmijmy taką nazwę, takie określenie. Także po prostu gdzieś tam przechodzimy i łupimy.
close quarters and long-range weapons, even firearms, to confront the monsters within the realms, which include the Bound, hostile human factions, apex creatures, and even the Fae themselves. Finally, you'll discover and craft a multitude of realm cards, and use them to influence the generation process of the realm you wish to discover, each containing new challenges, new discoveries, and new secrets, as well as new threats. All of these are subject to your control. I don't know about you, but I'm sold. And if you want to know more about this game, then stick around, because I'm about to...
Chcę trochę wolniej generalnie to przyswoić wszystko, co on tutaj nam teraz powiedział pod koniec tego wstępu.
Explain every feature I've uncovered for the game so far after scouring Twitter, Discord, YouTube, and the game's website. So let's begin. The story for Nightingale was inspired by a book titled Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Despite the super boring title, the synopsis of the book sounds pretty good. Susanna Clarke's fantasy novel, published in 2004, is set in early 19th century England and follows the relationship of two magicians, of course, Mr. Norrell and Jonathan Strange. Shocker, right? And their attempts to revive English magic. The novel weaves historical events with fantasy elements and delves into the themes of nationhood, love, and power. This sparked the idea for an alternate history set in the Victorian era, a creative period in terms of human invention and knowledge acquisition, and the devs then imagined their own world in which players could enter these portals and travel to fantastic realms to meet the Fae. The magical Fae and humans have had a long-standing, mutually beneficial connection for centuries, if not millennia. At first, humans worshipped the Fae and learned magic from them. But later, however, humans did what humans do, and began to view themselves as equal to the Fae. The Fae then withdrew from our world, taking most of their magic with them. But magic's seed had already been sown in the world, and so the study of magic emerged alongside Renaissance science and art as an exciting new field for human study. But the story takes place not in a new universe, but in an alternative timeline to our own. so you may witness some historical events through the lens of magic and the Fae's interaction with humans. And so humans all over the world have flocked to
Ależ to
this
jest
enchanted
tęga
city
rozkmina.
called Nightingale to learn about magic, develop an understanding of its workings, and construct portals to the Fae worlds beyond. I think of Nightingale like Jerusalem meets New York City. The setting for the beginning of the story is the end of the world. The planet Earth is currently undergoing a catastrophic event. The world is slowly being enveloped in a mysterious force known as the Pale, but nobody knows where it came from. And if the beginning of the story is the end of the world, does the end of the story mean we'll take it full circle to the beginning of the world? Unclear. Realm walkers everywhere are
Ależ
making a
ciekawie.
last-ditch effort to travel to Nightingale under the assumption that Nightingale is the final stronghold of humanity and that it possesses the magical power to keep the Pale at bay. But unknowingly, those attempting to use the portals are ultimately cast asunder and lost within the labyrinth of the realms. Hopefully you'll have more than a volleyball to keep you company. The story will see you along your journey to return to Nightingale, enduring various obstacles in the realms as well as obstacles from the Fae. Humanity knows very little about the Fae, but we do know that they are not divine. The Elders, whoever they are, created these mystical beings. The Fae are divided into courts, such as the Winter Court and the Summer Court. Each of these courts has its own motivations for how they interact with humans. The Winter Court, for example, employs the Bound. Fae created creatures who serve them mindlessly. They are described as human-like mimics. Some of these monsters are more fantastical than others, while some are simply horrifying. But they're all
Ale tu będzie
distinct
lore
to the style
bogate.
of Gaslamp fantasy
kurczę.
that the developers are attempting to create. And these courts are commanded by Fae princes, princesses, lords, and ladies, and everyone who is not a member of a court is referred to as Ronin. And when players awaken after passing through the Shattered Portal Network, they will encounter Puck, a character based on A Midsummer's Night Dream and who serves as your friendly Fae guide throughout the story's first act. Furthermore, the majority of Fae and humans arrange themselves into factions, with more emerging along the trip. All factions, Fae or human, can provide lore and storytelling opportunities. Uncovering who is friend and who is foe in the realm is kind of part of the journey. This means that players will meet the Fae in combat. Even though Fae are not inherently bad creatures, they can be incredibly cryptic, elusive, and difficult to read at times,
Yeah.
with the same capacity for good and evil as any human. However, players will encounter a variety of Fae archetypes, including Fae assassins and commanders, all of whom stand roughly 8 to 9 feet tall. If the Fae had blue skin, the story might
Wrzucaj
have an
Feindek
entirely
wszystko.
different feel. As an alternate history, you get to reimagine both real-life and fictional stories in new ways. It's entirely possible to discover the ruins of civilizations that once existed in the realms, but have since vanished, because after all, humans have been exploring them for untold ages. You might observe how individuals like English mathematician Ada Lovelace, who is most known for developing the analytical engine and early computer design, would have interacted with magic. And I'm hereby referring to my computer as an analytical engine because that's 100 times more badass sounding than PC. You'll also get to know fictional characters like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and learn how they would behave in
Oh.
such a setting as well. The goal of the developers is to create a survival crafting game with rich NPCs and lore that players can explore. Everything is supposed to fit together nicely and give you the impression that you're visiting real places. The developers reportedly spent a lot of time and effort early in the project thinking about how to pay off this idea of many different realms and places to explore. The realm system, through realm cards, allows users to control what they see inside portals. The realm card mechanic is the interface through which players can participate in the procedural realm construction. It's not just about having one procedural world, it's about the generation being meaningful and the player having some control over what they're seeing, so it doesn't feel arbitrary. The realm card system combines player agency with the randomness and surprise of the procedural system. Players will be asked to create realm cards using recipes they find or earn via
Bardzo nie
gameplay.
lubię
Once you've
kart.
crafted those realm cards, you'll go to a
Ale
portal,
przełknę to.
play the realm cards in certain combinations, and all of that adds up to a recipe that tells the portal what it needs to unlock the other side. Cards are classified as biome cards, major cards, and minor cards. Over time, new biome cards will be released. Currently, the swamp, the desert,
Co
and
tu
the
się
forest
dzieje?
are all present, and all have certain environmental difficulties. Other significant aspects of the realm are represented by major cards. Minor cards then make small tweaks and improvements to what you'll find on the other side. So let's assume that you've decided that you want to go to a desert. You'll choose a biome card for that. You also might want to go hunting and look for natural resources, or just look for something new. In that case, you might have a major card called the Hunt, and by
Niesamowity system. Ja wam to pokrótce wyjaśnię, jeżeli ktoś nie zrozumiał. Chodzi o to, że jest, dajmy na to, że macie to swoje miejsce do swojego huba i żeby przedostać się po jakieś dobra, których potrzebujecie do rozwoju tego swojego huba, tego swojego domku, tego swojego miejsca, przechodzicie przez portal i ustalacie przy pomocy kart, co za tym portalem będzie się działo. Tak? Czy jaki to będzie biom, jakie to będą tereny, jakie tam będą złoża, jakie będą moby, czy będzie jakaś walka i tego typu rzeczy. Wy będziecie twórcą tego, gdzie wchodzicie.
playing it, you'll get more of a focus on dangerous animals that can then be hunted and harvested to collect their hides for future crafting. Additionally, you might want to avoid the night because it's too stressful to you, and so you can play a minor card to prevent the sun from setting. So after crafting and then using your realm cards, you'll have an open portal to a new realm. As long as the portal is open, you can enter that realm. However, if it shuts, that realm is lost forever. The same sort of realm will be obtained when using the same card combinations in the future, but you won't connect to the same exact realm as you visited before. That realm is gone. You can even take your friends along and bring them to places they've never been, even using cards that those players haven't yet obtained.
Wow.
And there will even be caves in some realms, and these underground areas contain a variety of encounters ranging from naturally occurring caves to underground abandoned Fey ruins. The majority of the materials found within the realms don't naturally respawn, so exploring new realms is the main way to acquire more resources. As the developers continue to work on new content and new locations, realm cards are anticipated to be added over time. Players can designate any realm as their respite realm, which is where they will return to if they die and are unable to be revived. They can then fast travel to this respite realm if they are in danger. This is where you will construct your estate, which will serve as both your main base of operations and the location of most of your crafting endeavors. For artistic expression, you can personalize your estate in terms of both design and decor, and you decide where your respite realm is located. If you want to live in a dangerous swamp with a variety of lethal monsters because you find that intriguing, you can do that. But it might make more sense to put it somewhere calmer and more serene, with plenty of great resources. It's entirely up to you. As long as the topography and other natural features allow for it, players can construct their buildings anywhere. There are certain limitations on where you can build, such as sharp inclinations, objects being in the way, and the fact that some components can only be joined to certain others, but otherwise, you can build just about anywhere. Currently, you can only have one respite point active at once, but you can build as many structures as you want any place in the realms. However, there might be some restriction due to performance issues. The developers are making a lot of effort to guarantee good performance, even with extremely intricate buildings created by players. The building system is said to be similar to the
Zatrzymamy się na chwilę. No właśnie, że twórcy chcą dołożyć tych wszelkich starań, żeby performance był dobry cały czas, no ale to wiecie, jeżeli gracze mają wolną rękę, no to nie wiem, no zobaczymy, bo to jest Unreal 5, to też jest wielka niewiadoma, jak ten Unreal 5 rzeczywiście będzie się spisywał, bo on ma dać nam możliwość do tego, żeby takie rzeczy robić.
forest or grounded, in that you lay out the blueprints for various building components, such as a wall or a staircase, before filling in the shape of the design with the necessary materials to finish the project. And players can currently build barriers or other structures to resist the bound or other creature attacks. After that, players can use ranged weapons to assault the bound while minimizing risk to themselves. The devs prefer to emphasize variability within the realms rather than varied sizes. Hence, the usual map size is going to be 2 by 2 kilometers. Higher tier resources will become available as you accumulate realm cards and go through your adventures. You can craft items using basic materials, but you can later craft the same things out of higher tier materials. The gear you create will be stronger and more powerful, depending on the quality of the components used to make it. Therefore, you'll want to advance and discover those harder realms so that you can acquire better resources to keep up with the increasingly difficult challenges you will encounter. You may have a lot of fun when cooking, and there are many different and interesting recipes available. Fire-roasted food is a simple illustration of how recipes function. Fire-roasted berries and fire-roasted mushrooms are both available, and both will satisfy your appetite. but because you utilize different ingredients, the benefits will vary. So the whole cooking and food system is sounding a lot like Valheim to me. Realm Walkers will be given some fundamental crafting and building schematics when they first begin, and they'll be able to find new schematics by gathering resources, conversing with NPCs, or performing missions. Players can currently create up to 3 characters, but you can only play with one of them at once. Choosing a character role during the character creation process gives you access to a narrative backstory and distinctive clothing. The devs have created prototypes of pets, but they haven't yet put them into production, and there hasn't been much development done on mounts. And the game is said to not have a leveling system. Progression will be based on the recipes, materials, and encounters you discover. Items you craft and upgrade will
Czyli na
impact your
doświadczeniu
stamina, health,
zdobytym w
and
grze.
abilities. Melee weapons like the axe pick, ranged weapons like the sling bow, and magical spells will all be used in combat. Around 10 spells should be available at launch, and more will be released throughout early access, ranging from utility to battle spells. So far, we've seen the Shockwave spell, which will stop adversaries in their tracks, and the Light Wisp spell, which illuminates an object in the shadows. As you advance in the game, you'll be able to acquire magical talents. You see, humans are not really born with magical talents, and therefore, spells must be bound to some item, such as a tool or a weapon. But beware, because using spells will reduce that item's durability. Ammunition for some firearms can also be customized. For example, a rifle could discharge slugs, birdshot, or fire ammunition, and the materials you use to make the weapons will affect a number of characteristics, including damage, weight, and durability. Nightingale, like most survival crafting games, gives players a lot of options in terms of what they want to pursue as a goal and how they might fulfill it. However, there is a narrative arc or story mode that players can pursue via NPCs and quests. There is a very typical death mechanism in place in which players will lose their whole inventory on death and revive back at their previous spawn point.
Okay.
And there are no timers to return to your stuff, and there will be a sign to indicate where it all is. Any benefits you possessed prior to death, such as like meal buffs, will be gone. And going hungry right now will cause you some various debuffs, but will not kill you. Realm Walkers will be able to earn extraordinary abilities via their equipment and spells. For example, you can outfit them with unique equipment that allows them to scale steep rock faces, or alternatively, you could enchant an umbrella and use it to glide back down to safety. Finally, the day-night cycle is reported to be 60 minutes long. So when will Nightingale be available? Well, according to the facts section of the official Nightingale website, Inflection Games has set the Nightingale release date for the first half of 2023 on PC.
Co?
Closed alpha playtesting has been ongoing since summer of 2022, and they're still accepting signups for that. And content creators
To ma się pojawić w pierwszej połowie tego roku? W jaki sposób? Przecież my tego nie zmieścimy. Ja wcześniej o tej grze nie słyszałem, nic. Absolutnie nic, tylko że to ma wyjść jako wczesny dostęp, tak? To ma wyjść jako wczesny dostęp, więc wiemy, z czym to się wiąże.
can fill out a separate application for an upcoming early access promotional release. There is no information on a console port right now. Nightingale is a game that I will continue to cover on my channel, so make sure you're subscribed if you're interested in that. I hope you found this information helpful and or entertaining, and I'll see you all in the Fey Realms.
Tak, bardzo, bardzo fajny materiał, bardzo ładnie stworzony i wszystko bardzo czytelnie i jasno powiedziane. Guns, Nerds and Steel kanał. Jeżeli was to interesuje, to link oczywiście jest tutaj na czacie i też w opisie materiału. No, piękna rzecz, naprawdę piękna rzecz i chętnie spróbuję, chętnie sprawdzę. Za chwilę też sobie dodam na Steamie do wishlisty i będę wyczekiwał, tak? Co na końcu było powiedziane, to gra tylko na PC-ty, na razie nic nie wiadomo o porcie konsolowym. Ale wygląda to dosyć fajnie i Blajo dobrze zauważył, że strasznie dużo kontentu, że to może przytłoczyć nowego gracza. No i myślę, że tak rzeczywiście może być, jeżeli tego dobrze nie rozwiążą w jakimś samouczku, czy w jakiejś linii questów, żeby poznawać tę grę stopniowo, bo takie rzucenie się na wszystko może być dosyć przytłaczające. No, ale fajnie, bardzo miłe zaskoczenie o poranku.